Okay, good morning. I want to share a little bit about myself before we dive into setting expectations for the class and going over the syllabus. My name is John Flood. You're welcome to call me John. You can call me Professor Flood. Some students really get a kick out of calling me Master Flood because I have my master's degree. I am from a small town in Wisconsin. I come from a big family and a very small private school. One of my fun facts is that I have more siblings than graduating classmates. I have 7 brothers and sisters, and I graduated with 6 other people. I went to the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point for my bachelor's. I started as a business major because I thought I'd go home and take over the family business. But I really enjoyed chemistry in high school, so I wanted to take a chemistry class. And the business school could only enroll me in chemistry for the citizen. They couldn't get me into Gen Chem 1. And I took it, I made some friends, and I told them this class sucks. They agreed, and I said it's just way too easy, and they laughed at me because they thought it was way too hard. So they told me that I should pursue my passion. It's college, study what you want to study, go study chemistry. So the next semester I declared a chemistry minor, and I started taking Gen Chem 1. After a year of really enjoying my chemistry classes and really not enjoying my business classes, I switched to a business minor and a chemistry major. And by the end of my junior year, I was chemistry all the way, no business anymore. And I didn't really know what to do with chemistry. I had never planned on having a career as a chemist, but I really liked teaching. I was tutoring all through college, and the only chemistry teachers I had seen were these chemistry professors with their PhDs. So I set out for grad school. I got accepted to CU Boulder, and I started a PhD program at CU Boulder right before the pandemic hit. My first year of grad school was incredible. All classes, high-level chemistry graduate courses. I really enjoyed it. Good morning. And then I was teaching as well. I was a TA in the organic labs and the discussion groups. It was like the time of my life. And then my second year, it was just research, full-time, no teaching, no classes. And I realized that I had no interest in research. I couldn't have asked for a better research advisor. I couldn't have found a more interesting research project. It just didn't fuel me. I had no passion to wake up every day and go do research. And I craved the interaction with people. So around that time, I learned that with a master's degree, I could teach at a community college. And that I could master out of my program by showing that I had done enough work in the first 2 years. Not all programs allow it, but mine did. So I left after 2 years. I got my master's, applied here. 5 years ago, I started teaching labs in the summer of 2021. It really feels like summer out there, doesn't it? 5 years ago, it was 100 degrees every single day during the first week of classes. Now it's like a high of 60. Love it. I have loved teaching at Slick. I had never really been involved at a community college before. I'd never taken classes. I'd never been on campus. I wouldn't change it for the world. I guess I'm preaching to the choir because you're already here at the community college, but I'm glad you're here. It's a great place to learn. We've got these small classes. We can do a lot of one-on-one stuff. And we're not pressured by doing all of this research. You don't have a professor that is worried about other stuff. You guys are my job, and I love my job. I love getting to come in here. I have an OChem 2 class right before you at 8 a.m. I signed up for it willingly. Nobody twisted my arm. I love teaching so much that I took OChem 2 at 8 a.m. 3 days a week. This is my partner, Omar. He just graduated with his PhD on Friday in neuroscience. These are our three cats. Yasmina on the left was his originally. Sky on the right was mine originally. And Asuli in the middle we adopted together. They look like they love each other, don't they? They hate each other's guts. This is a rare moment where they are actually in peace around each other. It's crazy what a treat will do. On the right is my parents and my youngest sister, Angel. They came out this last week to visit and celebrate Omar's graduation. Later today, I want to give each of you a platform to share about yourselves, why you're in this class, a fun fact, if you will, basically the things that you're jotting down on that little piece of paper right now. But I also want to give you guys some time to explore the syllabus and the expectations for our class. I think I want to start first with setting some expectations in general about the course at large. I will admit that I was not the best organic chemistry student. In OChem 1, I didn't believe that I would do well. So I didn't put any effort in. Surprisingly, I didn't do that well. It was about 2/3 of the way through the semester that I realized I think I actually understand a little bit about what's going on. And so I started applying myself, but I got out of OChem 1 with a B, I believe, and that's because my lab grade was built into my lecture grade, and I had an A in lab. Otherwise, I would have probably had a C+ in OChem 1. OChem 2, I had found that fire, and I wanted to try a little bit harder. But I had to basically relearn everything from OChem 1, the things I didn't learn from OChem 1. So if you are someone that doesn't expect to do well in this class, then you probably won't do well in this class. So set yourself an expectation that you are going to do well. You're going to understand the concepts. You're going to master the material. If you don't set the expectation that you will work hard enough to master it, I don't know that you will. I'll do everything that I can to get you the grade that you want from this class. But you're going to have to help out. In line with that, I expect that you ask questions during class. If something is confusing, try to nail down a question that you can ask about it. If I am missing something, if something's wrong on the board, I can't tell you how many times I put something wrong on the board and nobody tells me until later, and they go, oh, yeah, I was wondering why you said that. That looked wrong. Ask. I expect that you guys will engage with me and ask questions throughout the course. We are a morning class, and we're done before most people's lunchtime, but if you need to bring food into class, you're more than welcome to eat in here. I just ask that it doesn't smell so yummy that I want to eat it too. You're welcome to bring in your food and drink. I'll probably still be finishing my coffee from the morning class. If you need to, you are welcome to do whatever you need to do during class, just so long as it's not loud and disruptive to the rest of us. If you need to be on your phone, on your laptop, take a nap, feel free. I probably would not have passed Calc 2 if it weren't for sitting on my phone playing games. That was a spring semester course. I'd come in on Friday afternoons after eating lunch and sitting out in the sun with my friends into an ice-cold, air-conditioned room and listen to this professor talk about integrals, and I just wanted to sleep. So I played games on my phone, and I was attentive enough to take notes when it was important. So believe me, I am not offended by whatever you need to do, just so long as it doesn't interrupt your neighbors. And that's another expectation. I expect that you will treat your classmates with respect. This is truly like the hard line. I'll let you sleep in my class. I'll wear it as a badge of honor that you find this to be a safe place to sleep. I'll let you do whatever you need to, but you will respect your classmates in this classroom. We'll support each other and uplift each other in our learning. Because if something is easy enough for you that you feel like we're getting distracted by questions, then I'm going to call on you to answer those questions instead of answering them myself. A real expectation. Oh, actually, also, I want to talk about coming in late. I don't really get offended about coming in late, so not to call you out. In my OChem 2, I had about 5 people come in between like 8:05 and 8:15. It doesn't bother me at all. I really don't care. This is your classroom as much as it is mine, and so I want you to be a part of it. I want you to come in, get engaged, be a part of the learning. So come in early, leave. Come in late, leave early if you need to. Do whatever you need to do to be here for as long as you can. A real expectation that I need your feedback on is about cold calling. I like to cold call people to answer my questions in class, and I understand that that can be traumatizing, nerve-wracking. So this is my compromise to that. Do I have your permission to cold call you if you have my permission to say no thank you and not answer the question? If I call your name and you don't know or you don't want to say it, then you can pass it to another classmate, cold call them, or you can just say no thank you. Is that okay? And if that doesn't really feel okay, but you just feel awkward about saying that right now, then just message me and let me know. But I really like to engage. In fact, I have to work actively to disengage with you all sometimes because I will just kill time by talking to you and asking you questions rather than getting stuff on the board and giving you guys time to work on stuff. Okay. Any other expectations you guys would like to set for the class? Food is fine. Coming in late is fine. Be on your phone so long as it's not loud is fine. Take a nap is fine. Unless I'm tired, and then I might be grumpy about you taking a nap. Yes? Oh, actually, that's another expectation. I don't always expect you to be in attendance. I won't hold you to attendance. And that's because I am recording lecture already. And I make it a priority to get these recordings on Canvas and actually also on YouTube, because I've found that there's some just better tools to use on YouTube. But I can't guarantee that every lecture will be recorded. I can't guarantee that there won't be audio problems or visual problems. But I do have lecture recordings from last summer, fall, and spring that you can find on YouTube. So if I ever miss a lecture, there's probably very similar information out there that you can find. But you are welcome to record. You know, the argument about this is my intellectual property that I am giving to you only because you paid me for it is a little narcissistic. Don't forget, you paid for it, so take it. Take it with you. In fact, I am of the belief that education should be free, that education is a human right, which is one of the reasons that despite the fact that you paid for this course, the material will be on YouTube open to all. What you're paying for is the accreditation. You're paying for the credit. I can't just give credits to people that watch my videos on YouTube. You're paying for the assessment, my exams, and you're paying for the credit that you'll receive at the end of the semester. But the material, you're welcome to do whatever you want to do to take it home with you. Anything else? On this worksheet, I want to have you begin with a reflection. Think about what you are excited that this course will bring, what you're worried that this course will bring. I also want you to reflect on what you think organic chemistry is. This is a concept map. What are ideas, things, topics that you think are related to organic chemistry? They may even be related to each other. And then a bit of a review on the syllabus. I want you guys to explore the syllabus for a while. So I want to give you 15 minutes. I want you to work in groups. So introduce yourselves to one another. Get to know each other. And work on building a concept map. And then work on finding 3 things from the syllabus. Maybe something that stands out to you as confusing, something that is exciting, something that you don't see that you're curious about. Spend about 15 minutes going through that in groups. And then I'll call us all together and we'll move from there. If you don't get into a group, I will get you into one. Okay? Have at it.
I've been to Utah State, but I'm just taking this for the summer, and then I'll go to dental school. I live in Farmington, so yeah. Except kind of since I'm working, so like I probably won't be here in class at all, but I'll be like watching my lectures and stuff. We'll see.
I got a bachelor's degree from BYU 15 years ago. I'm political science. I worked in marketing for about 10 years. Going back to school continued my career to get into veterinary school. So I'll be applying for this.
I hate that. They're like free.
Yeah, I'm taking calc next year. Syllabus. Because I did trigonometry, but like, I don't know, like the class was weird, so I didn't like it as much. So afraid like once I filter it out.
I'm actually doing Chem 2. I'm still taking this class about I did Chem 1 last I'm transferring to UVU next semester. Doing biochemistry, genetics, and physics too.
So you just need like these classes to be able to apply to this?
Yeah, because I already have my bachelor's degree, but I don't need any of the other credits. I just need the prereqs. Okay. Physics 1 wasn't too bad. I took that last semester. Yeah, which is that's good. Yeah, should be good. Just been trying to get through this as fast as I can.
Yeah, pretty much. I think so.
Fishing all the time. I've heard biochem's not too bad.
Okay, was that enough time? Fine, I guess. Comes in late and doesn't even have questions. Well, that was a good question though, so you're off to a good start. To start, or when I get to it? We're gonna go. I want to go through the list. Okay. You have questions on the syllabus.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. First, I'd like to hear from you guys about things you're excited about for this course. Ooh, okay. Lab is fun. I am guilty of being responsible for your lab materials. Who will I see in lab this afternoon? Nice, like half our class. So if you have any troubles with the labs, if you find that the labs are like not fun, or that there's mistakes or questions you have about them, I am very open to all the feedback I can get on the labs so that I can continue bettering them. I mentioned that when I started here 5 years ago, I started by teaching labs. And the labs that I inherited for the organic chemistry were crazy. They didn't make any sense. In the 4th week of OChem 1, we were doing an OChem 2 reaction and then being asked to show mechanisms and arrow pushing for things that you learn at the second half of OChem 2. So I've done a lot to change the labs, and I'm still changing them. I think that's one thing about me as a professor is that my courses are living. They are never the same. Every semester is different. What else? What else are you excited about? Oh, and I will say the labs are not required. Some of you might not be taking the lab this semester. That's fine. You will do okay. But there will be things that we talk about in lecture, especially when it comes to reactions, that will make so much more sense if you're in the labs doing the experiments, because you're understanding why we say the things we do about the reactions. You're understanding why the reactions look simple on paper but take 4 hours to do in practice. Okay, other things you're excited about?
The difference between general chemistry and organic chemistry.
night and day. General chemistry touches on organic concepts every now and then, and this is just a whole other world. All those things we spent 2 semesters talking about in Gen Chem, practically out the window. And now we like start over with all these new concepts. In fact, Organic Chemistry 1 can feel a lot like General Chemistry 1, where it is just a very broad course. You're learning all of these concepts and definitions and terms, just like you did in Gen Chem 1. And then OChem 2 feels very targeted towards reactions, a lot like how Gen Chem 2 feels very targeted towards the kinetics and thermodynamics of reactions. So I'm excited to see what you see the differences between Gen Chem and OChem. Things you're worried about?
I think just like actually understanding the material and how the reactions work and attack each other.
Well, I've got these magnets for you guys because that's how these reactions work. We'll talk about this at the end of class, but everything that we learn about this semester is just magnets, specialized magnets, strong magnets, weak magnets, things that attract each other and things that repel each other depending on how they're lined up. So the way that I will try to get you to understand these things is by calling back to this analogy of magnets all semester. And that is something that's maybe not unique to organic chemistry, but at the very heart of organic chemistry is how things work. I actually grew up the son of a mechanic. I grew up working in a mechanics shop. And in organic chemistry, we will learn mechanisms, which are related to mechanics, how things work. And there are actually some mechanisms I don't teach you guys, and I don't expect you to ever show me, because they don't really make sense of how they work. It's kind of unintuitive. Most reaction mechanisms are intuitive if you understand how these specialized magnets work. Some mechanisms are a little strange. What else are you worried about?
Study load.
The study load.
Yeah.
Do you know how much you're expected to study outside of this class?
2 hours for every hour.
2 hours for every credit or 2 hours for every hour is on the conservative side. Some will say 3 hours for every credit. So somewhere between 8 and 12 hours a week you're expected to learn. You're expected to be studying outside of class. I'll be honest, I don't know that I have 12 hours of work for you to do. And that's a bit intentional. You know, one of the reasons I like being at a community college is because of the demographic of students that we get here. How many of you work part-time or full-time? That's almost the whole class. So do I expect this class is your life when you leave the doors? No, I expect you have a life that you are taking time off of to come be here with me. So I try to make it manageable for you to fit in the required workload. But if you do only what's required, you will do all right in the class. You will need to go beyond what is required. You'll need to find ways to spend 12 hours studying organic chemistry to nail this class. I have resources for that. I used to not have you guys do online homework through Active. I say you guys as if it's been you for the last 4 years. I used to build my own homework assignments. But because I didn't like giving a homework assignment without having a practice assignment that you could look at to understand how to solve a problem, I also built supplemental work assignments. So on your Canvas, on one of the modules, you will see old 2310 materials, old homework problems, old practice problems written by me with lots of typos, unfortunately. So be wary of that. But if you want to do extra practice, there's extra practice on Active. There's a practice tab. But there's also extra practice on Canvas. Download it, print it, fill it out on a separate piece of paper. Do whatever you need to do. Spend time with the material. So the workload is something I understand would be worrisome, but it's not the required workload. In my opinion, the required workload is manageable, but that will only get you so far. So understandably, Honestly, be worried about not having too much of a workload. Be worried if you find yourself coming to class, doing the homework, and being done for the week. Be worried if you're not stressed about how do I go do more practice problems. Yeah, double-edged sword, huh? Okay, anything else on that? Things you're excited for, things you're worried about?
Question.
Yes.
For like tests and stuff like that, how will that go? And also, is the testing center open on weekends?
Good question. I believe the testing center is closed on weekends, but you will only have 2 exams to take in person anywhere. One of them is the midterm, and that is taken here in person. And one of them is the final, and that is taken here in person. So unless you have testing accommodations, in which case I'll talk with you, but I actually almost always have my accommodated students test over Zoom because it's easier for me that way than sending it to the testing center. But midterm exam is July 1st. We'll have a day of review the day before that, and then the midterm exam. And the final exam is August 6th. Now I want you to notice, what time does our class start? 10 o'clock. And our final exam is 11:20. So we are not starting our final exam during our typical class period. This is scheduled by the college. But we will be in here for a 2-hour exam, just from 11:20 to 1:20. I recognize that that is lunchtime. And that sucks. And if it doesn't suck for you, I mean, think about me. I'm in here from 9 a.m. taking my giving my OCHEM 2 final, 9:10 to 11:10, and then 11:20 to 1:20. So be thoughtful about how you plan for that. Maybe have a light lunch before you come in and test. Make sure your brain is fueled. Or have a plan for where you're going to go afterwards. I've given you this calendar. Please put it in your schedules. Plan ahead. Know when things are coming. One thing I wanted to say to the workload. Did you know that we will spend more time in class each week than the spring and fall sections spend in class each week? So typically, spring and fall spends 4 hours in class each week. We will spend something like 4.5 or 5 hours in class each week, which means for every week of class, we're actually having more time to cover concepts. We get nearly the same amount of time in person with each other to learn OCHEM as you do in the fall or spring. But, so from my perspective of conveying the material, I get almost the same amount of time to convey it all. You just have 4 less weeks to master it. Keep that in mind. Unit tests are on Canvas. You have an entire weekend to take them. Is that what your question was about?
Yeah.
No lockdown browser. I find that prohibiting things leads to cheating, and I'm not trying to incentivize cheating. So no lockdown browser, I really don't need it. If you, it's also open notes. So know your notes and know how to know how to use your notes on the test. I do not encourage you to use the internet. I mean, I guess I don't allow you to use the internet, but I really don't encourage you to use the internet, because if you are trying to find answers for the unit test on the internet and you can't find them in your notes, how well are you going to do on the midterm or the final? Because that material is still not in your notes, and you're still not going to be able to find it unless you have access to the internet, which you won't. My encouragement to you on the unit tests, so there's 2 parts. Part A, you get 2 attempts. It's multiple choice. My encouragement to you is go through all of the questions first without your notes. Try to answer them. And only once you've really struggled with those questions, then go back to your notes and try to pull out the information that helps you find those answers. Submit your first attempt. See what concepts you missed, what concepts you got right. Study up on those concepts you missed. Go back in for your second attempt. it will be a new set of questions. Each question is a concept, and that comes from a bank of questions that all hit on that same concept. So you may see duplicated questions, but you will not have a duplicated test. Or I guess it's like 1 in a million chances that you'd have a duplicated test. So when you study the concept, don't study the question, because I want you to come back for the second attempt and master the concept. I don't give any feedback on part A. That's because you get 2 attempts. So you get the feedback from your first attempt on what you got right and what you got wrong. Part B is short answer. So you only get 1 attempt there, but these are the things that I need you to know how to put pen to paper for. Because when you come into the midterm and the final, you will be putting pen to paper, and active is just point and click, which is not always that useful. I need to know that you can draw structures, that you can draw arrows, that you can put charges on things. So part B is all of your short answer stuff. That means that I need you to upload proof of your work. If you write out your answers on paper, you can take a picture. You could scan it. You could upload it as a Word doc, a PDF, a JPEG. If you're on your tablet, you could take a screenshot, whatever you need to do. A lot of times there will be multiple questions. I don't need multiple submissions. I don't need a submission for each question. If you are doing this on a piece of paper and you've got questions 1, 2, and 3 answered, take a picture of 1, 2, and 3, upload it as the response to question 1, leave questions 2 and 3 blank. It's fine. It actually makes it easier for me to grade because then that's just 1 document to download rather than 3. But even with part B, those questions are coming from question banks hitting on the same concept. So that's why you get different things, so that I can have you all have different tests hitting on the same concepts, showing up a little bit different. So you don't have to go anywhere for your unit tests. Take them at home, take them in the library, take them in the car, whatever you need to do. Midterm, in person, final, in person. In fact, the exam days are the only 2 days I require you to be here. And I think I overheard you saying that you commute from Farmington. So if you can take off Wednesday, July 1st to be here in person, that would be great. If not, we can talk about other options, but I feel like twice a semester, or really 3 times, because I asked you all to be here today as well. I feel like that's not asking a lot for an in-person class.
Is the midterm during our regular class hours?
It is, and it's a 90-minute midterm, and we have a 95-minute class, which means that we will start right at 10, or at the very latest 10:05, so that we can be done on time. But it'll be in class, in person, in here. Good question. Did we get a little sidetracked? What was I answering?
Just the weekends, weekends.
That was something you were concerned about, right?
Yeah, I was just wondering because I didn't know if the tests were not in the test.
Absolutely. And that's a fair point. So thank you for bringing that up. I want to hear from you guys about your concept maps. What do you think organic chemistry is related to?
Carbon.
Yes. At the heart of organic chemistry is carbon. Great. What else? Do you know there is a line? It's hydrocarbons and their derivatives that we say is the study of organic chemistry. But what is a derivative of a hydrocarbon? It's not well defined. So something like CCl4 has no hydrogen, but it can be made from methane. So is it the derivative of a hydrocarbon? Is it organic? CO2, carbon dioxide, is often cleaved off of molecules in reactions. So it is produced from hydrocarbons, but it has no hydrogen. Is it organic or inorganic? And this is actually the problem with us as humans trying to draw these lines in the sand and then force nature to be on one side or the other. Nature is a spectrum. We are just putting these blurry lines in certain areas saying, this will help us understand large portions of nature. But then there are these compounds that really surprise us. What else? Bonds. Lots of bonds, all sorts of different bonds. Not as many bonds as in organic chemistry, but lots of bonds. Yeah. Actually, I didn't know that becoming a chemistry professor would mean that I'd also be an artist on the side. We'll be doing a lot of drawing. There's also this, there's this saying that the longer you get into organic chemistry, the better your hexagons get until you've been in it too long. And then your hexagons get worse. And you'll see that this semester my hexagons are really wild sometimes. What else? Lots of reactions. I will say we'll do reactions in the second half of the semester more than the first half. The first half will include acid-base reactions, but most of the new reactions will be second half. Two more. Functional groups. Now, do you know what a functional group is or its definition? Say no. But you don't want to say it? We will spend a lot of time on functional groups. And I actually have a resource on functional groups. I'm actually working to update it because I think that it could be improved. So there's a document that you'll find on the course resources page that has all of the functional groups that I thought were useful 3 years ago, but I'm expanding it to have more functional groups now that I've taught longer. Make flashcards for your functional groups. Technically, you won't have to start on functional groups until section 2 in our material. That's when we'll introduce them. But after section 2, throughout all of OChem 1 and OChem 2, they are the lifeblood of organic chemistry. If you can't recognize your functional groups, you really won't recognize what's going on in a chemical reaction or in a molecule. So get to know your functional groups. Make flashcards. Make a Quizlet. Test each other. You'll have an assignment where you actually get to analyze a compound, and one of your activities will be to assign the functional groups in that compound. One more? Isotopes. Can I say iso? Yeah. Do you know what that prefix means? Same as, yeah. Isobaric is like same pressure. Isoelectronic, same number of electrons. Isotope, same number of protons, different number of neutrons. And then isomers. We're going to be studying a lot of isomers this semester. Mer comes from the Latin word for unit. So this just means same units, which really just means same chemical formula, but distinct compound. So a lot of isos that we'll do in organic chemistry. All right, thank you guys. Now let me hear from you about the syllabus. What are things that confused you, surprised you, excite you, are not there? Can I get 3 things? I think we could even include this unit test as one of them. But what else do you guys want to make note of from the syllabus? Yeah. I'm glad you brought this up. First of all, the cheat sheet on the midterm is only one-sided, but the cheat sheet on the final is two-sided. And I would like your cheat sheets to be handwritten. I don't know why I went vertical like that. It looks really bad. I know a lot of you will take notes and do your homework this semester on your tablets, and that is writing with your hand, but those can be manipulated a lot more than paper, and I'd like us to all be on a level playing field. So if you don't have pen and paper to write your cheat sheets with, talk to me and I'll get you some. I've had students in the past that build their cheat sheet for the midterm, and then they save that one-sided sheet, and they just make a separate one-sided sheet to bring with them for the final. All of the notes they brought to the midterm, they bring with them to the final, plus new notes. I have students that remake everything because things from the midterm start to make more sense by the time they get to the final. My colleagues would like me to stop allowing this. They fear that I am harming your education by allowing a cheat sheet. And there's some validity to the things that they say. So I would like to address that this is not an advantage. This is the biggest risk that I will take all semester, and I'm risking your education by doing it. I'm not risking anything of my own. Nope, I don't know what word comes after that. I'm not risking anything about myself. I'm risking your education and your grade by allowing you to have a cheat sheet. Students will think that having a cheat sheet means they can make it the night before the final and then come in and ace the final because they have all these answers. If you don't know your cheat sheet, it will hurt your grade more than help it, because you'll spend time looking through your cheat sheet for all these answers that aren't there. Or you're looking for them, but you forget where they are, so you're just killing time. The reason I allow a cheat sheet is because my biochemistry professor allowed one. The hardest class I ever took, and he was the only professor that let us bring something in. I asked him why, and he said that students that do well on the exams never use their cheat sheet. They've prepared it so well that they don't need it. They got the benefit that comes from making it. And students that did poorly on the exams spent their whole exam looking over the cheat sheet for the answers, rather than knowing the material and being able to answer it without. So my advice here is revise, revise, revise. Make a cheat sheet before the midterm, and then go over it. What concepts are on there that you really don't need to be on there because you're solid about them? What concepts are on there but not on there well? They don't have an example. They don't really highlight the challenge. Remake your cheat sheet. Take off the things you don't need. Put in better examples. Remake it again so that you know it by heart, so that you don't need it because you've learned it. But I know that a lot of you are going on to take an entrance exam that will ask you about organic chemistry. And after you've left my class and you're studying for that entrance exam, I want you to be able to recall this cheat sheet, pull it out, and see the cliff notes, the most important things, the most challenging concepts from organic chemistry. So I don't keep these. These are for you. But it is not an advantage if you do not treat it properly. Okay, what else?
For like the homeworks, I think it said there's like multiple attempts.
Yes.
The questions. If you get them wrong, do you like lose a percentage of
No.
points each time?
Homework is considered a low-stakes assignment. It is meant for you to master the concepts so that you do better on the high-stakes and the mid-stakes assignments. Homework is 20% of your grade, so I want you to put in every effort to earn all 20%. The unit tests are 30% of your grade, and you get kind of this balance. 2 attempts on the part A, so you can work to earn the best grade possible. And then exams are 40% of your grade. That is a high stakes assignment where you don't get a chance to come back and improve it. Actually, I will allow for a midterm analysis assignment. You'll get your midterm back, and you'll get to go through all the questions you missed. Tell me why the answer you chose was wrong. Tell me why the answer that was correct was correct. Reflect on why you got it wrong. Did you misunderstand it? Did you breeze past it? Did you study the wrong things? So you will be able to actually earn up to half of the points you lost back from the midterm. but you don't get that on the final. And the reason I allow that is because all of those concepts from the midterm show up again on the final. So if you do not know it by the midterm, you need to know it by the final. And I'm incentivizing you mastering those concepts you missed on the midterm by allowing that midterm analysis assignment. With the online homework, you get 15 attempts. It doesn't ding you at all. But I will say, if you use 10 attempts and you're still not getting the right answer, just email me. Ask me what's going on. Send me a screenshot of your best attempt, the attempt that you think should be the right answer. 9 times out of 10, it is the right answer, but active is flagging it as wrong because you didn't put lone pairs on the atoms. One of the reasons that I have you do active, an online homework platform, is that you get immediate feedback on the homework. So you solve a problem and you know whether you got it right or wrong. Rather than having you do my old homework where you have to wait for me to grade it, you can see right there in the moment, is it right or is it wrong? And it gives some feedback. But unfortunately, active will say something like, you've done something wrong with the molecule, blah, 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 and it leads you in this direction rather than saying you don't have lone pairs. 9 times out of 10, it's lone pairs. It doesn't say it's required to show lone pairs. The feedback doesn't tell you you're missing lone pairs. I've already lodged this complaint with active, but be aware of that. So yeah, full points on your 15 attempts as long as you get it in. Also, no late work or no late fee penalty. I will take all of your homework until you walk in to take the final exam. I will not take your homework after you take the final exam. I get that with students. They're like, I think I bombed that. Can I bump my grade up a little bit higher? I have a really good way for you to bump up your grade. Do the homework. And then you can bump up your grade on the final before you even come in. So no penalty on the homework being turned in late because I want you to get the benefit of knowing it. What else? One more?
So the final, it said you'll take the highest grade of if it was the class or if it was the final exam. So does that mean if you bomb the final, it won't affect your final grade? Or?
Right, if you bomb the final, it still goes into your course grade as normal.
Okay.
I actually just recently changed the weights of all the assignment categories just this semester because I had a student at the end of the spring that got an 18% on their final. I plugged it in. That student also left pages blank. They didn't do the short answer work. So they were banking on the multiple choice and didn't do so hot on the multiple choice either. Put that grade into Canvas and it brought their grade from a B+ to a B. That just didn't sit right with me. That's what I'm. You're exactly right. I think if it had brought their grade from a B+ to a C+, I'm happy to award someone a letter grade, a passing grade, for showing up, for putting in the work, for showing that they learned things along the way. But if you can't say that you know it all at the end of the semester, I think that should have a pretty big impact on your grade, not a 5% drop